Welcome to Community Foundation Spotlight. I'm Spicer Bell, and through this series of programs, we try to shine that spotlight on nonprofit organizations that are making a real difference in our community. Today we're shining the spotlight on the Salvation Army, and my guest is Major Ken Morris. And Ken, welcome to Salisbury. I think it's the first time you've been on with me.
That's correct.
Been here, what, about 6 months or so?
That's
now?
right.
Great.
Having a wonderful time.
Well, great. Ken, we're going to ask you some questions about Salvation Army. Certainly Salvation Army is you're very visible to most of us this time of year. If you're out Christmas shopping, sooner or later you're going to hear that bell. And
our wonderful volunteers are out there in the cold ringing the bell. Yes.
They are. But give us a little bit of your background. What brings you with the Salvation Army here to Salisbury?
I've been with the Salvation Army for 22 years. My parents were also involved in the Salvation Army. They actually were involved overseas, about 27 years in Japan. And I was with them growing up, about 14 years in Japan. So I am half American, half Japanese. But in the Salvation Army, I've served in about 5 different churches, core community centers. I've also served at a divisional level, overseeing and supporting the Florida Division and the Arkansas, Oklahoma Division. We had 5 different churches in North and South Carolina. And so we bring with us board development, some finance. We bring with us, hopefully, God's help and God's strength and guidance. My wife and I are the pastors here, and we also oversee the Salvation Army here, and we're thrilled to be in this area.
And certainly Salvation Army plays a very special role in our community in that you have a congregation that you minister to, but a much broader role in terms of here recreational programs and family relief programs and things like that. So.
Well, actually in this community we pride ourselves in our huge youth program. We have the large East Club, the large West Club, the Hazel Center. We also have a small program in Pocomoke and a small program in Crisfield. And to see all those children, our football season, maybe 600 children with all these volunteer coaches coming out playing football, our big basketball season just starting up across the region. And so we're thrilled to be, I love children, my wife and I both have a good time with the children, but we have our staff there supporting the youth programs, and we're very proud of the heritage here and the way the community supports us in that effort.
Yeah, before we started taping, I asked you how our program here at Salvation Army differs from some of your previous assignments, and you indicate the youth program is so much more extensive.
This is larger than the other youth programs I've worked with. I've had one club. I've actually worked with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. Some of our programs are tied in, some aren't. This one here was, and now it isn't, but we go back and forth. We did have a pool before that we worked with, but pools are expensive to run, and we have this pool here over in Hazel Center, and so I have a little bit of background there. But to have actually 2 large programs is more than what I've done in the past, and then to have the satellite programs as well that we manage. But again, we have good, strong staff here, and they're great with the programming. We're now trying to help with the finance. We're kind of tight finance right now, but we're trying to keep the programming strong and bring in new funding, and also try to streamline things so we can make sure we keep paying our bills on time and keeping things on our property in good shape.
Well, certainly an important part of your funding is the familiar Red Cattle campaign.
Yes.
How's the Red Cattle campaign going this year?
It's cold out there. As you know, it turned cold a bit quicker this year. And so it's kind of like a race. You know, it doesn't matter how you start off. I like to run. But, you know, some of those rascals start off real fast and then halfway through, and then it's hard to say. So if we finish strong, then we'll be happy. Our goal is $200,000. We've raised about $80,000 this year. We still have a lot of holes to fill, particularly during the week. So we encourage folks to call in. I know it's cold out there, but if you can ring for 30 minutes or ring for an hour. We had some folks, they were out there in their car, a couple. One would ring for 30 minutes and then go get in the car, and the other one would come out and ring for 30 minutes, and they'd switch back and forth. But the cash is down. Cash is actually down. But again, we're not out there. All the spots aren't filled. And so naturally the cash will be down. We've lost 4 sites.
So one of the areas that folks could really help with today is it's not too late to volunteer to be a bell ringer.
No, most definitely. And the weekends are pretty full, but again, during the week, to keep all the sites manned from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. And some, you know, have called in because of the weather and said, you know, I just can't make it. It's just too cold. And we don't know what the weather's going to do. It might get colder. It might cool off. It might warm up a bit. But again, the first half is always easier to raise than the second half. And again, the goal, though it's 200,000, last year was the same 200,000, but because of the weather, we didn't quite meet that goal. The goal is not based on the need. If it was based on the need, the goal would be a lot higher. The goal is based on what we think we can bring in from the community.
Yeah.
But this will take care of our Christmas needs and also help us determine our direct financial assistance budget throughout the next year. And this past year, though we had some earmarked each month we would go through that amount, and people would come in asking help for rent, asking help for their utility bills, and we have to say, I'm so sorry, we've gone through that amount in our budget for this month. And so our goal through this campaign is to be able to increase that budget each month so that we can help more folks. The need is great, even at Christmas time. Our number of food baskets and the number of toys that we give out. Last year, a little over 700 baskets. This year, we're preparing for 860 food baskets, 860 families.
And that, I assume, partially is a product of the economy, is people
The
being
economy's
laid
still rough,
off
yes.
and that sort of thing.
And some may have one job or a part-time job and not quite enough to cover their bills. We screen the applicants very closely and ask them and all their income, all their expenses, and we look at it and we put it on the chart and we compare it to determine if they're eligible. But yeah, the need is greater.
What does a typical family who you're trying to support at Christmas time, what does it look like? I mean, can you characterize them in some broad strokes?
Well, some of our families are seniors with no children, and we certainly help them with a nice food basket. Many of our families are single-parent families. Some are even grandparents raising their grandchildren. But again, predominantly it would be single parents, single female parents. Now there are some men out there who are raising children, but again, the majority would be single mother. And again, the number of children. The average household may have 3, 4, 5 children.
Okay. And you have a regular screening process for those folks to make sure that they are truly eligible.
That's right.
How does that work?
Well, we've worked with the health department, we've worked with other agencies, we had announcements across, and we brought them in. They each have a very private conversation with one of our volunteers or one of our social workers, and we actually asked them to show us information about any income they have coming in, whether it's a government check, whether it's child support, and then we asked them for the bills, how much their light bill, how much they pay for food, and then we compare the two columns and we determine, all right, you don't have enough money to cover your Christmas needs or to cover even your basic needs. Or some we'll find out that they do have extra money, and we say, look, we see here that you have $300 left over after all your bills are paid. You don't quite meet our criteria. Some may meet the criteria for food and not toys, and some both. With the toys, it's 12 and under. We hope we could help others, but again, with our finances now, we're helping those who are 12 and under. And again, in some cases, if there's like one other child who's older, we can try to find something for them. But for the most part, we center in on the 12 and under age.
So somebody's out there ringing that bell, somebody drops their loose change or perhaps some bills in one of those kettles, they can be reasonably assured that that's aid's getting to families who really are in need.
Oh, most definitely, yes.
So I think that's important for our viewers to understand that. So,
again, because this is a 100% volunteer effort with the bell ringing, that means more money is available for direct financial assistance. And this is rare. I mean, this is actually the first place I've served which had a 100% volunteer effort bell ringing.
Really?
I've served in other places where it was half and half or a quarter of this and 3/4 of that. And again, it's rare across the nation. I know about 2 or 3 other places. But again, clear across the nation, this is rare. And so we pride ourselves in Salisbury and this community who rallies together thousands of volunteers who come out, civic clubs, churches who come out and help us man these spots, like 22 spots. And again, all day long. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of hours. And it's wonderful to see that effort, knowing that all that money then can go right in for direct financial assistance.
But you commented about how cold it is this year.
Yes.
And I try to ring the bell every year. I think it was 2 years ago. It was quite cold one evening that I was out at the Walmart at Fruitland, and I really thought my feet were going to freeze off.
Yes.
But in reality, it is so heartwarming. It really is. Of folks coming up there, and I'm wishing people Merry Christmas and thanking them for their donation, and they're thanking me for just being there. So it really is. If somebody's watching and they have not volunteered to be a bell ringer, it really is a wonderful way to usher in the Christmas season.
And you hear wonderful
It really
stories.
is.
People will
You
come
do.
up and they'll tell you about how we helped during wartime, how their children played football with us, how they themselves played football 30 years ago.
Yeah.
We've been there almost 100 years, so again, there are a lot of stories out there. And some of last year, I had to come in and get a food basket, or I got help with toys, but now I have a job and I'm giving back now. Or they'll call and say, I want to volunteer because last year I got help, but now I can help. Let me come back and help. And it's beautiful.
It's neat to see it also, see adults, parents or grandparents using it as an opportunity to teach giving to small children.
Yes.
Because they'll get that change together, or they'll get that bill out of their wallet, and they'll give it to the child that's with them, and they'll explain a little bit, and they'll tell them to go over and put it in the red kettle. It's a great learning, great teaching opportunity.
Right.
For those youngsters. So, well, you also do the Angel Tree program next. How does that tie into all this?
We put the family members on the Angel Tree. It's all coded, you know, we don't use their actual names. And we give each family a wish list and ask them to write down if we could get these items for them, what would they want, whether it be a TV game or whether it be a small car or a doll or whatever. And we put these wish lists on these angels. With JC and Penny, it's actually done online through the corporate office. We have one over at Bosco's, we have one over at North Walmart, and you can go in and you can take one of these angels and then you can see what they put on there as their wish list, and you can buy those items. Now, that would be extra. We make sure that all the children get something. But for those that are get picked, you know, sometimes we can even throw in some extra stuff and then give them some of the stuff on their wish list. And so there are some angels out there, and that ties in with our program. But if someone doesn't get picked, then we'll certainly supplement it with other toys that we buy. But this is another way where you can actually have a more personal effort. You can actually pick a family. You may not know them per se, exact name, but you know how many are in the family and their exact needs. And you can say, you know, I'm buying a gift that I know this child wants. And when I provide this gift and bring it to the Salvation Army, they can take it to that family, and I know for sure that what I bought is something they want and something that they can be thrilled to get at Christmas time.
Great. And the Angel Tree locations are Boscov's, you said, at the mall? And
Yes.
Are there any other?
North Walmart.
North Walmart.
And then if you go online with J.C. Penney, there's a system on their corporate office. Actually, they asked for 100 from Salisbury, and some of those are coming in through the mail. It's amazing how it works. Even from other places, people have picked Salisbury because they used to live here, they have a connection here, so they're sending a toy to a child in Salisbury, and they may be coming from another state. And they found it online and processed it accordingly.
Great. It's a great partnership with J.C. Penney.
Yes, it is.
So, and you do have some great corporate sponsors here in the area.
Oh, most definitely.
So, I know one of your big supporters of the Red Kettle campaign is Jim Perdue.
Oh, he actually donates hens for all of the families. And he also gives us some reefer trucks that we use to keep the food fresh. And we give out eggs and milk as well as far as the food baskets. But yes, he'll donate a hen for every family.
So Purdue's a great corporate
wonderful
partner
partnership in this town, yes.
So great. So now, how does the Salisbury bell ringing campaign compare to others across the country? You said we do a lot more volunteers.
Again, this is 100% volunteer, and that's rare across the nation. Again, some places they would have like seasonal workers. You hire them to ring bells, and they have to bring in more than what they make. But you know, here we pride ourselves in the fact that it's 100% volunteer. Some places, as far as the money coming in, we've doing some tracking across the division and across the nation. Some are up, some are down, but most are having a hard time this year, making ends meet, making the money coming in. So we're holding our own. And as we struggle, we know that others are struggling as well. But the economy is tight, and we're watching it very closely. And even our corporate office sent out a letter saying, folks, you know, you need to get on top of it and find out how much the damage is going to be. And we're saying, well, you know, we haven't given up yet. We're still out there. We're still pushing through. But yes, we'll have to adjust accordingly if the money doesn't come in.
Well, we're going to hope some folks are watching this interview today, and that's going to inspire them to not walk by one of those red kettles without digging into their pocket, and to sign up for volunteering and what have you. But let me take a break here for a moment. You're watching Community Foundation Spotlight here on Pac14, and my guest today is Major Ken Morris, and he is the commander of the Salvation Army here in the Salisbury area, serving Salisbury and the Lower Shore, and campaign and other efforts of the Salvation Army. Ken, how does someone sign up to be a bell ringer? Let's give them the phone number, and our friends here at Pac14 will put it on the screen.
We actually have a separate Christmas site that we set up for our volunteer effort, and the number for that site is 410-749-RING, which is 7464. And you just call that number. we actually, for every site, we have a huge chart on the wall all around this room. And you can say, I'd like to ring this area of town or this area of town during the week on Saturday. And they will actually go to that chart and they'll say, all right, we have a space available at JCPenney from 3 to 5, or at the Walmart, or at the Kmart, or at the Superfresh, or at the Ace Hardware. And they'll write their name right on the chart. And then that goes on to the schedule, and the schedule is posted behind each sign. And so as you as you show up at the site, you'll see a little strip of paper on the back that shows everybody ringing that day. And you ring for so many hours, and the next person will come in and follow through. And then we track the pots accordingly so we can figure out how much come in at each location. And it works out wonderfully. And again, you simply just call
people
in.
Go around and kind of collect the pots and
That's actually what I'm doing this year. We
Okay.
had a wonderful volunteer last year, but he's working now, not available. And so, but I'm thrilled to do it. I mean, it takes me out of my office, which is a shame. I have a lot of stuff piling up in my office, but yes. But with the holes, it makes it even harder because you have to go there like 2 or 3 times. You don't want to just leave a pot there. And so when something finishes, you go and pick up the pot, and then you have a fresh pot come out later when someone else is ready to ring. But if we can fill up all the sites, then it makes my job easier. Either you take them out in the morning, then pick them up at the end of the day. But now we're running around because we'll have like a 3-hour spot here, a 3-hour spot here, 3-hour spot here. And so please, we want to remind the community that even though there may not be someone there, it doesn't mean, oh, we've raised enough money, or oh, we're doing great. It could be one of those 4 sites that we're not allowed to ring at, or it could be that we just don't have a volunteer at that point in time ready to ring. And so please, we don't want to get the impression that, oh, since they're not there, they've raised all they need for the season, or they're doing great. The need is up there, and we've got to get those spots filled.
If they miss the kettles, where do they send a check?
They can send it to our post office box or to our street address, 407 Oak Street. I don't have my post office drum box with me now, but if you can find it there, I'm sorry.
We'll get it on the screen.
Okay, yeah, but
We'll
post
get it
office
on the
box is
screen.
fine too, yeah. And again, many do send in checks, and we're hoping that some that may be passing by the kettle are sending in a check. If it's too cold to pull out their cash, send us a check. Yeah, and that's great too. Yeah.
So very good, very good. Now, after the Christmas bills are paid, your Christmas programs and what have you, what happens then? Let's talk about the Salvation Army program through the rest of the year.
Right. Well, this is our largest fundraiser. We do have other smaller fundraisers and people who give us regular money on a regular basis, but this helps us set our budget for direct financial assistance throughout the year. Because of our financial strain right now, we're not able to have as many scholarships for our youth. We still have some. We used to give 100% scholarships to go to camp. Now it's like 50%. And so we still have some scholarships, but we have our youth programs going on, we have direct financial assistance going on, we have our child care center going on, we have our senior program going on, and we have our church services going on. But again, there's no pressure put on anybody to come to our church. It's there, that's just another component. But we're here to meet direct financial need, not to put any pressure on anybody to come to our church. Our church is there for anybody who wants to. But again, we're here to take care of basic needs. Many of the folks that volunteer, many of the folks that play basketball don't come to our church, but we encourage them to come. And we hope that even in our club, they get a sense of God's love and our love and a concern for them, and to let them know that there is a purpose and that the community and God is supporting them up in their life.
And in terms of youth recreation, you offer the football program, you offer a basketball program,
we have
other programs also.
Well, we have our game room. They can come in. We have our latchkey program. They can come in. We pick them up from schools, and they come in. We help them with their homework. Even with our basketball and football program, it's a motivational factor. Where if they're struggling in school, then they have to come in for tutoring. They have to come in for help with their homework, or they can't play, or they can't practice. And so we look at their grade, we look at their report cards, and it's character building. It's not just learning a sport, it's character building. And we help them turn into, they're the leaders of tomorrow. And so we bring them in, bring them off the street, and we want to work with their parents as well. And as we work as a team, we all do our part to help the young people so that they'll be prepared to take on the leadership role and to continue to help lead in this community.
You don't have to read very far in the press often to read about worries about gangs and young people falling into gangs. I would say that Salvation Army is a pretty good anti-gang program.
But we have some strict rules about language, about dress code, even about the logos on the shirts. And about the guys, some of the shirts, the pants are dragging down. We don't allow that. So we have some strict rules, and we follow them. And some folks are surprised, and we say, wait a minute, why are you being so strict? Well, no, we want people to feel comfortable coming in, not have to worry about bad language, not have to worry about people being treated wrong. Come in a safe place, come in with their family. The children and parents can drop off their children, and they want to be safe there. And we're making sure the children are safe. And even throughout our corporation, we have this new policy up called Safe from Harm, where we're taught signs of abuse, so that if we see any signs in the child, we can help and protect them and work with them. And if there's other issues with other children or friends at school, or if they're being tempted to join a particular gang or something, we can see some warning signs. And we're training our staff and we're training our volunteers to work with these warning signs and to make sure that we don't offend any child. It used to be you could hug a child and no problem. Well, now with children being abused, they may feel uncomfortable with you running up and hugging them. And so we're very careful. So we don't want to infringe on anybody's space. And we monitor the restrooms very closely. We monitor anything that they do very closely so that they'll all feel safe and comfortable, and that we'll make them know that we're here and we're not here to cause any type of friction or make them feel embarrassed in any way, shape, or form.
So the youth programs are a place where the kid can feel, a young person can feel a sense of belonging.
That's right.
Of acceptance, that otherwise they might seek in a gang setting.
That's right.
They can
That's
find
right.
it in a Salvation Army setting, and hopefully stay away from those types of temptations in the community. And families can feel comfortable in sending their young people to the Salvation
Well,
Army.
just recently over at our Hazel Club, we had, it was called a family night, where we invited families to come into our club, and all they did was play table games, like the typical, Scrabble or Connect Four or dominoes or, whatever, and they all came in as a family, and we want to get to know the parents. We want to see them all come in as a family, and we had childcare available. We had children playing in a little room, and it was a wonderful time when all the family members came out. And during the summer, we had a similar event where we invited all the families in the community to come in to fellowship with us. And so, yeah, we want to include everyone in the family to make them feel like this is a family community coming in and spending time at the community center.
And in the summer, you offer have a swimming program.
Yes,
over at
very
the west
active
side.
swimming program. We teach swimming, we have free swim, and we rent it out to other places as well.
Okay, great. So it's an opportunity for young people to learn some water safety. I mean, we have lots of water, ponds,
That's
and
right.
rivers around here. Unfortunately, we've had some tragedies of young people drowning. And by getting them involved in the Salvation Army program and learning to swim, we're hopefully protecting them from.
Right, well, our goal is, as with the MAC Center, we want to make that pool available all day long, even for seniors to come out maybe early in the morning and do exercise in the pool. It's great, exercise in the pool. And so we want that pool to be utilized. It's a wonderful partnership with the county and that whole park and how that whole thing was set up. And we want to make sure that the community continue to have access to that building and that pool and the facilities there, all ages, to come out and utilize that pool.
Great. And you mentioned the MAC Center, and you have senior programs too. What are some of the senior programs the Salvation Army offers?
Some come out, we have an exercise room. Some come out and they just walk around our gym because it's inside and it's warm. We have programs for the seniors. We do bingo. Not gambling, but I'm saying, it's free bingo, we give out, door prizes and stuff. We bring in people to give lectures. We have people come in and talk about hygiene and talk about aging issues and whatnot. And it's a pretty active senior program. And they come out and we take them on outings. I went with them on a boat trip recently. Suicide Bridge, it was called. Yeah. We took that little boat ride down. It was real nice.
The paddle
nice
wheeler.
lunch. Sure, yeah. Nice little group went out there. And we had a nice little Christmas party with them, and we brought them into other community-based senior programs as well. So very active senior program.
You take the boat from Suicide Bridge down towards Cambridge.
Yes, we did. That's
under,
right.
under
Yep.
the bridge and
That's
what
right.
have you.
That's right.
It's my
Real
old
nice
stomping
outing.
grounds.
There you go. That's right.
So it's beautiful there. I actually had a nephew who got married on one of those paddle wheel boats about 3 or 4 years ago, and they had it timed so the boat came out just at dusk, and they had the wedding ceremony. And what
Very
have you.
good.
It's absolutely beautiful setting. So, do you see any changes, or what do you see in the future of the Salvation Army here?
Well, again, we're trying to use the community money and be even better stewards in this tight financial time. We're trying to streamline some of our programs. Like, for example, this past year, or typically we'd have the seniors walking around in one gym and then a few people playing basketball in the other gym. We have 2 large gyms down at this East Club. And we thought, well, why are we turning the heat or the air on, or the utilities for both those gyms, when just the few who are playing basketball, we could have the seniors walking around the exterior of that room and not get hit by the ball because it's a huge room. And so we actually combined it all in one room and then shut down the other gym. And so we're looking at putting in a programmable power, heat and air, so it turns off at certain times and it goes down at certain times. We have this huge tank for hot water. Well, when we use the locker rooms, sure, we need that hot water, but when we're not using the locker rooms and it's just the child care that needs the hot water, we're looking at a small hot water heater under their sink. So we don't have to keep this $2,000 bill being paid for this huge tank of hot water when we don't need that much hot water.
So you're looking at energy efficiency,
Oh yeah, most
just
definitely.
like all the rest of
That's
us.
right, yes.
Now, I assume you use volunteers.
Oh yes.
It would seem to me that areas like that might be places where viewers who have specialized talents or skills or background might volunteer. If somebody had had an engineering background or maintenance background and would be willing to help you with some of those types of
We do have an
economies,
advisory board, and many times they'll come through with their expertise and help us with small fix-up projects and whatnot. Yes. But again, other volunteers in town. Yeah. One of our bell ringers is a welder, and he's volunteered to help us even with the bell ringing the tripod. When the little pieces of metal break off, he can weld those back on for us and stuff. So yeah.
So you have room for lots of different specialties at Salvation Army if somebody would be willing to commit some time and some energy. It's not just bell ringing this time of year, but almost any time
There's
of
always
year.
something going on, yes. And we love our volunteers to help us out.
Now, we haven't mentioned the thrift store. What role does it play in all of this?
You can donate items, you can call, we can pick it up with a truck. And our thrift store, they have certain bills, of course, to pay the employees and to pay the truck. But, of course, we make money. That's the purpose for the thrift store. And anything that we make goes right back in to direct financial assistance. Now, it also is a warehouse where we can give out free clothing. People can come through our social services, and they're given an amount they can spend at the thrift store as part of their
Kind of
service.
like a voucher type
Right,
of
and
thing.
they'll come over. We don't want to embarrass them. They actually go through the line just like everyone else, and they actually run it up in the cash register. So it looks like a regular charge. And then what we do is we send a check over and back, an internal check, to cover the value of that, so that we can actually say to the community, we've given out this amount of value of clothing through our thrift store to the clients that come in.
And you're looking for household items, clothing, furniture,
Sure,
a
most
variety of
definitely,
things.
right.
And that generates income for the Salvation Army,
Right.
and it also enables some of your clients to be able to shop there and
Right, well, anybody can shop there, but clients as well, right? But anybody can come in and save some money. And again, the clothing that we can't sell, we'll bail up and we'll ship it around the world. And it's not only used to help clothe people around the world, it helps us make money. Now that rock market, it can be 16 cents a pound or it could be 3 cents a pound, so we don't rely very heavily on that. But when the market's up and we're bailing, our goal is to get, not their worth, we have enough donations coming in now where we can stock the store and send a truckload of bales out a month. So again, we'd rather sell it, but again, if it doesn't sell, bail it up and send it.
Keeps that sort of thing out of landfills too.
That's right, most definitely.
So we're being green.
That's
also.
right, good stewards there too,
So-
yes.
Well, Ken, it's been great having you here with us today. We appreciate all the work that you do at Salvation Army, you and your staff and all your volunteers, and you certainly are making a real difference in our community.
Well, the community's been very kind, and basically we make it because of the community. We don't get money coming in from other corporate offices and all. We have to stand alone. Each command is self-supporting, and we trust that we will continue to be able to be success as the community continues to support us up in this, and it's wonderful.
Well, it's the first time you've been here on Community Foundation Spotlight with me, and I hope you're going to be able to come back in future years, and hope you have a long and successful tenure here in
Look forward to
Salisbury.
it. Very good.
Great.
Thank you.
You've been watching Community Foundation Spotlight here on Pac14, and if you're interested in any of the organizations that we feature here on the Community Foundation Spotlight, if you'd like to find out how you can support them, contact us at the Community Foundation. If you're interested in volunteering, go on to our interactive website at ShoreCan, that's SHORECAN.org, and find out some of the exciting and interesting volunteer opportunities that exist here in our community. And once again, thank you for watching Community Foundation Spotlight on Pac14.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on Pac14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. Pac14 is a great way to connect with your community.